Well, hello and welcome back to my garage. We're still in January, the weather's pretty horrible outside. Still not getting out much in the bikes. Today I'm going to fit a bracket to mount my TomTom sat-nav. This bike is fitted with a Bluetooth module and it can get basically satellite navigation through your phone up to the dash, but it just gives directions. It's not very good. I personally prefer a proper dedicated sat-nav. Since I've got one, it seems silly not to fit it. So basically I'm going to have it fitted just above the LCD display, TFT display, sorry, and I'm going to use a bracket that I bought from Evotech, which will mount in behind the screen here and hold it in place. So that's what we're going to fit today. It's the Evotech TomTom compatible sat-nav mount to the Tiger GT Pro. The first job we have to do is to remove the windscreen. To do that, it's basically 4 bolts here. So we'll take the windscreen off. Slacken it off. So that's the 4 screws off and the windscreen is off now. And there's also this bar that sits at the back which you use to adjust the windscreen. So that's basically removed as well, and that won't be going back on. There's some wee rubber washers at the back there, so just make sure you don't lose them. So that's the windscreen now removed. The next section to take off is this small panel in here, this infill one, which is just a push fit. There's 2 push fit points at the bottom and 2 at the top. So we'll try and prise that off. That's off. And that's off. And that's up. So that's off. It's just on these 4 pegs and 4 rubber mounts that it goes into. So that's that piece removed. The next job is to just slide the Tiger mounting up a wee bit to reveal 4 other screws at the back here, which have to come off to remove this panel. It's just the same size Allen screw as the windscreen was, so that's quite good. All 4 screws are the same length, so it doesn't matter which one goes where. And that basically takes this whole front section of the windscreen off as well now. So now we're at the back of the TFT screen. What it says was to do this, the top mountings, these wee clips here, they're not actually used, so we have to remove these as well. And again, that won't be going back on. The next part is to remove this screw at the side here. It's only on one side, so we'll take that one out. There's 2 screws down at the bottom in here. So as you can see, the screw that we just removed came in from the side. It just came out from this hole here. The next 2 we've got to remove are these 2 lower bolts, that one and that one. And we've removed the fixings from here and here. So they are 2 small 8mm screws or bolts. What we've actually removed, those ones, 2 screws from the bottom there. So this is basically the bracket here that comes, and there's 2 longer Allen bolts that go into the bottom section. So what it basically says to do is to position this bracket in. It's a bit fiddly, trying to figure out how it goes in, to be honest. And what it tells you to do is to put this screw in at the side first, in the instructions. That kind of holds it in place temporarily, and then fit the 2 lower bolts, the new ones, the extended ones, into the TFT. So that was a wee bit of a footer trying to get those two screws in at the bottom, but that is now, they're held on, they're tightened up. So the next stage is to tighten up this bolt on the side here, tighten up this side one. So that's those two screws now in and tight, and I've put in the screw at the side here, that is now tightened up as well. And there is a clear access for the bolts for the screen to go through. So now it's a case of basically putting the front panel back on again, which basically goes back in that position there. And the top ones, they screw through now into the Evotech mount. Okay, so that's these 4 bolts now back on, so that's it. So that bracket now is pretty robust, pretty solid. The next stage is to refit this small panel here. So at the moment I'm not going to do the wiring, I'm just only doing the hardware mounting of this to see how well it fits. So yeah, that's that pushed back in place, that's fine. So now there is this actual sat-nav unit itself. So how does that look, I wonder? I would say that's looking pretty good. Perfect line of sight. I took a wee break there from filming because I hit on a wee snag with the mount. Although the mount actually works really very well, on mine I've actually got the security lock unit as well, which made it a wee bit more awkward. The mount itself basically came with these small thumbnail screws. The idea being they would be in the side here, so you could adjust the mounting with the thumbnails. And obviously with the security lock on, that's not going to work. So I've basically done away with them, and I've basically replaced them with 2 bolts. Normally the security mounting would have the lock key at the top, but then once the screen was in position, there was no way you could actually get in with the key to actually unlock it. So I basically had to reposition the screws that hold the mount to this back plate, just so, so I can move it around so that the lock mount mechanism now is now sitting in the side position, which means I can now actually get in from the side and put the key in to unlock it. But it works. It does actually fit, and it goes in quite well. So that's why I had a wee break, because I had to figure out how am I going to get it to work, because I didn't think it was going to work with the lock mechanism. It would have worked perfectly if this part wasn't on it. It would have been no problem at all. So the next stage now we've got this in place, is to put the windscreen back on. If you remember, this was the mounting for adjusting the windscreen here, which you would put your hand through, but again that's no good now because the sat-nav's in the way. But the good kind people at Evotech have came up with a solution. So they supply this other bracket now with it, which clips on. And the idea being, you can now position the screen by pulling on these 2 side tabs, and you can use that to pull the screen up and down because you can't get into the central bar. So we'll put the screws back in for the windscreen. That's the windscreen now fitted, with the adjusters here now that you can use to pull it up and down. How does it look from a rider's perspective? I would say it looks pretty darn good. That concludes the fitting of the Evotech sat-nav mount. Hope you found it useful. It was a wee bit fiddly to fit the bracket at the back there, a lot more fiddly than I expected. But if you just take your time, you'll get there should you decide to fit one of these brackets. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye for now.